Schools. It's one of the state's biggest obligations, but are lawmakers making the grade? We sat down with Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst, tackling education policy and state spending. And we go further in depth with the man at the center of the state school system, Commissioner Michael Williams.
Now, in-depth coverage of the Texas legislative session. In session, in depth.
Good morning and thank you for joining us for In Session In Depth. I'm Josh Hinkle. This morning our main topic will be the future of education in Texas. How will lawmakers tackle the difficult and oftentimes expensive subject? This week a judge ruled Texas school finance system was broken and unconstitutional. Hundreds of school districts including Austin ISD, Round Rock ISD and several other local districts sued the state after lawmakers cut $5.4 billion from education last session. With the ruling, it looks like the case will now head to the state Supreme Court.
This could be a protracted battle. I think the state's going to drag it out. There's going to be politics involved.
We either want increased standards and are willing to pay the price, or we don't.
Not all of the education groups that sued the state came out on top. The judge denied the claim from charter schools. Wanting more money to spend on facilities was not in their favor.
Obviously, we're disappointed that he didn't extend that finding to charter school facilities. We strongly believe in our case. We believe our students and parents have the same right, constitutional right to funding for facilities that traditional school districts have.
It could be a year or two until the reality of that verdict has an impact on your child's education. Lawmakers plan to fully fund education this session, but that's under the current formula, which schools say shortchanges them. More likely, there will be a special session next year after the Supreme Court rules. It is possible we won't see any changes until the regular session in 2015. But some school programs want money now. One of them, pre-K. Austin ISD opened the Uphouse Early Childhood Center, the first campus fully devoted to pre-K when the cuts went into effect. The district cut elsewhere to maintain and grow their early childhood education. Austin ISD workers say spending money early to help many students that can't speak English coming in will pay dividends down the road. One of the main players when it comes to education funding and the school finance system is Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst. I sat down with him this week to talk about school funding and how the state will spend your money.
I'm telling our lawmakers that we're going to have to, at some point here, towards the spring, maybe after the session, start thinking about how we're going to handle the school finance formula, assuming that the Supreme Court supports at least part of the decision. And I've said today that we need to set aside some funds for the decision.
How much fund are we talking about? I mean, how do you make a decision like that?
You don't with any specificity. You just simply try and set aside a reasonable amount. In the 2004 case that we solved in the school finance special session in May of 2006, we were required to invest about $4.25 billion.
Is this something that they will have to consider as they're putting the current budget together?
We've got two challenges. One is that we have to be careful not to exceed our constitutional spending limit. And secondly, because of this decision by the district judge that's being appealed to the Texas Supreme Court, we're going to have to, it's only prudent, that we set aside money in order to satisfy any decision made by the court, whether it's in general revenue, cash that's kept in the Treasury, or it's money that's in the rainy day fund.
If it's not money from the rainy day fund, does that mean other programs that need to be funded this session might suffer because you have money that's waiting for something else?
I don't think that's the case. I think the spending cap, the constitutional spending cap, is going to restrict us from spending all of our revenue. And I intend to keep our spending below inflation plus population growth regardless. I think that's the conservative fiscal thing to do to keep the state on a secured footing.
Any money set aside wouldn't be within that cap.
That's right. That's right.
Additional.
Yeah. Any additional money that's, any funds that were left in surplus would not fall under the constitutional spending limit.
On KXAN.com, in our legislative section, we've posted the full interview. I ask about everything from schools to Medicaid and just how long state leaders like him should be allowed to stay in office. It's all in the legislative section of KXAN.com. There's also a new face in the education policy debate here in Texas. Still to come, Education Commissioner Michael Williams joins us in studio as In Session, In Depth continues.